Boruto, as the true successor to the Naruto franchise, not only took on some of the great aspects of the series and expounded upon them, it also took on some of the negative aspects as well, or at least that's what people would have you believe. Truth be told, Naruto doesn't have that many plot holes, and neither does Boruto, but that doesn't mean that there aren't any issues whatsoever. That is why in today's video I'll go over the most popular flaws within the Boruto universe, and you guys can tell me if it's actually a plot hole or just a minor inconsistency. Starting with the most popular one, that being the God Tree absorbing chakra from humans before they had chakra. You see, this one stems from the Naruto manga as well, but it was expounded upon in Boruto given the fact that this is the main goal of most of the villains. Now the reason why this is a plot hole is that it was first explained that chakra is created by molding your mental and physical energies together. Now if this remained the case, then we wouldn't have a plot hole, since you could simply argue that humans always had chakra since they always possessed mental and physical energies. But for some odd reason, Kishimoto decided to retcon this during the war. This came in the form of Madara explaining that chakra was originally given to humans by the Sage of Six Paths. It was actually meant to be a link in power, something that would connect the mental energies between people. Instead, what ended up happening is that after some time, people used that chakra not to connect with each other, but only to link the mental and physical energies within themselves as a way to amplify the chakra that was given to them. So what this means is that humans weren't able to use their mental and physical energies to create chakra. They used the chakra Hagoromo gave to them to link those energies together, which then amplified that same chakra. Now the reason why this doesn't make sense is that Hagoromo is the son of Kaguya, which means that all of this happened years after he defeated Kaguya and sealed her on the moon. So how did the 10 Tails Kaguya cultivated absorb the chakra of humans before she had children, if humans didn't have chakra until her son gave it to them years later? Mind you, it's literally stated that the 10 Tails sucks the chakra from all living things on a planet, the keyword there being chakra. So if humans didn't have chakra, how is it taking chakra from these humans, and how did it bear a chakra fruit? It just doesn't make any sense. Now if I was to patch this plot hole, I would simply say that humans always had chakra even prior to Hagoromo giving it to them. And this would somewhat line up with Boruto saying that Rasengan Uzuhiko uses the planet's chakra, which is likely referring to nature energy. So in some sense, every energy in the universe is actually chakra, and all beings and planets possess it. I think that makes perfect sense, but let me know what you guys think. At number 2, we have Shikamaru being surprised that Kawaki can hide his chakra signature. Now I won't go into extreme detail on this one, but in chapter 79, Ada used their ability called Omnipotence to switch the positions of Boruto and Kawaki. So at this point in the story, everyone thinks Kawaki is Kawaki Uzumaki, the son of the 7th, and that the real Boruto is now Kawaki, the boy who killed the 7th. So suffice to say, if Boruto does something that Kawaki was shown to do on multiple occasions, that shouldn't surprise anyone. Yet in chapter 6 of Two Blue Vortex, Mitsuki informed Shikamaru that Boruto was in the village and that Kawaki picked up his aura. Shikamaru replied saying that he didn't trip the sensory net, so that means that he can now erase his chakra signature similar to Kawaki. Now I'm sure you guys already noticed this issue because Shikamaru should already know that Boruto can suppress his chakra signature since he thinks Boruto is Kawaki. And Kawaki used this power in chapter 77 when Shikamaru tried to track him, which was literally stated by the sensory team. So the only way for this to make sense for Shikamaru to make this statement is if he knew that Boruto was the real Boruto. Now by the way, this is plausible since Shikamaru literally asked Boruto if he was the real Boruto in the very same chapter, even though he himself stated that he was having trouble accepting the notion. Then again, why would he say that to Mitsuki over the public comms instead of it being some internal dialogue, despite trying to keep his suspicions under wraps? So on one hand, it could be a small plot hole, or it could just be a slight slip up by the usually careful Shikamaru. We'll never know since we can't peer into the mind of Kishimoto. Now at number 3, we have the inconsistent durability. Now I could find many examples of this, but I'm just going to focus on the big ones such as Momoshiki getting damaged by shurikens. You see, this one is very interesting because at a base level you'd assume that being as powerful as Momoshiki is, he wouldn't be shuriken level regardless of who uses it, but that's not even the argument I'm making here. We have a legit example of base Momoshiki tanking a full-on strike from Sasuke's sword to the base of his neck while taking 0 damage, not even a scratch. Mind you, Sasuke's sword in Boruto is also a Kusanagi blade as explained in the Boruto databook, which means that it's one of the strongest blades in the entire verse. Not to mention the fact that it's being amped by Sasuke's chakra as with most sword users in the franchise. Yet for some reason this attack wasn't able to scratch base Momoshiki Momoshiki. But a shuriken amped by lightning was able to damage a far stronger version of Momoshiki after he consumed another being. We can clearly see the cut bleeding on his right shoulder, which means that it's not only a scratch but it's actually a wound. Now I'm sure you guys are probably saying that the lightning amp on the shuriken is just far stronger than the Kusanagi blade being normally amped by Sasuke's chakra, whatever. Okay, fine. But the issue with this argument is that we also see Sasuke amp his Kusanagi blade with lightning and slash Kinshiki across his back, yet he wasn't able to wound him. So is it that Sasuke's shurikens are just stronger than the Kusanagi blade for some reason? Or is Kinshiki far stronger than Fused Momoshiki for some reason, despite the fact that Fused Momoshiki is the combined power of Kinshiki and Momoshiki? You tell me. At number 4 we have changing events. Now this one refers to Boruto seeing the future in chapter 75, which showed Kawaki in his Otsutsuki fight state looking down at Boruto. By the way, we know that Kawaki is looking at Boruto since his visions are shown from his perspective, which was confirmed later on with his other visions playing out. So the logical assumption was that this was when Kawaki sliced Boruto's eyes since he has blood splattered on his face. Yet that didn't actually happen since Kawaki never used this form in their battle, nor did he have blood splattered on his face. Now some have argued that this was supposed to happen, but Ada changed it by using omnipotence. The issue with this is that omnipotence took place after the fight. Not only that, this perspective was shown during the fight, but it was prior to Boruto losing his eye. So it's clear that the events of the fight was changed later on by Kishimoto or Ikimoto, which would be the outer verse explanation, but in universe the actual events changed without a given reason, so I can see why people would consider it a plot hole. At number 5 we have the Toads not summoning Naruto. Now this one has to be the most consequential one since it's still affecting the plot to this day. The core basis behind it is that Naruto shouldn't be stuck in another dimension when he's able to use Toad summoning, which is considered a space-time ninjutsu. This all goes back to when Jigen threatened to leave Naruto in his dimension and Naruto started to panic. The narrative also implied that Naruto would have been stuck there if Sasuke didn't arrive in time. Now the reason why this doesn't make sense is the fact that Naruto should have been able to summon a toad, climb into its mouth and reverse summon back to Earth. This should be 100% possible by the way, since Sasuke summoned his bird to Kaguya's dimension back in Shippuden, which means that summons do work across dimensions since it's literally space-time ninjutsu. Now if you guys need further evidence of this, we had Kashin Kochi do the same thing with Amado back in chapter 44. He first summoned his toad, had Amado climb into its mouth, then reverse summoned him back to Earth from the Kara dimension. And it's not like Naruto doesn't know about reverse summoning, he has known about it since the early portions of Shippuden. It just doesn't make any sense. Now this also goes into the theory that the toads can summon Naruto from Kawaki's dimension. They basically have a contract with him which allows them to summon him to the land of the toads. So they could theoretically free Naruto if Boruto informs them that he's still alive, but I wouldn't consider this a plot hole since Boruto doesn't want to free Naruto based on his verbiage in chapter 7, at least until he deals with Kawaki. So time will tell if this becomes a plot hole later on. Now at number 6 we have Code's transformation. Now this one I think makes no sense whatsoever. You see, just like Kawaki, Code received his karma seal from Ishiki Otsutsuki, but unlike Kawaki, Code wasn't able to become a vessel. So the karma seal didn't overwrite his data to turn him into an Otsutsuki. He could only access the powers stored within it. What we also need to take into account is that limiters were placed on Code because his powers somehow surpassed Jigen's, which means that for a good portion of the story, he couldn't actually tap into that power. Now the issue arises when Code's limiters were removed, and for some reason he gained a new form. His hair turned white, his eyes turned red, his fingernails turned black, and his eyelashes were extended. Mind you, as explained before, Code was never Otsutsukified, which means his genetics wasn't altered. So how is Code exhibiting physical changes to his physical matter when his data wasn't altered? Now if it was the case that this only happened when Code activated his karma seal, it would be weird, but it would be acceptable since chakra modes do exist. So you could just say that when the karma seal activates, his appearance changes due to that chakra, similar to Naruto and KCM. But the issue with this is that it appears to be a permanent genetic change since it remains the same regardless of whether the karma seal is active or not. So the entire white karma thing just doesn't make any sense. Now at number 6 we have Jigen's death. Now this one always bugged me because it just didn't seem like something anyone would do if they were placed in such a scenario. You see, Jigen possessed Ishiki's karma seal, which means that he has Ishiki's ability to use Sukunai Kona, which pretty much allows him to shrink non-living things aside from himself. Now the karma seal also does possess the ability to absorb chakra-based techniques, but the fire Kashin Kochi summoned was real fire from an ever-burning mountain or some nonsense, so the karma seal wasn't able to absorb it naturally. Now in his infinite wisdom, Jigen decided to stand in the fire and continuously try to shrink it using Sukunai Kona, despite realizing that it was never ending. ending. So he ended up running out of chakra and eventually burning to death. Now I want you guys to realize how stupid this was. Jigen knew that he was low on chakra, less than 10% in fact. Kashinkoji pretty much tricked him and used the summoning he placed beneath him to engulf him in flames, knowing that he couldn't absorb it. And instead of simply moving out of the flames or flying upwards, then moving, Jigen decided to stand in the flames while trying to shrink it. Even after noticing that it doesn't end, and even after he started to burn, he just stood in the flames and died. That makes absolutely no sense. By the way, there's zero indication that Kashinkoji restricted his movements in any way. All he did was use a summoning jutsu. Now, this might not seem like a plot hole per se, and more so a critique of Jigen's intelligence, but Jigen was narratively implied to be one of the smart characters and very strategic in how he moves and stuff, so it's pretty out of character for him to do something this stupid, you know, but that's just me. Oh, and Urashiki was placed in a similar situation as well, but he did the right thing by flying upwards, you know, something someone with 2 functioning brain cells would think to do in such a scenario, but you know, I guess Jigen doesn't have that many, but you guys can let me know. With that said, those are the most popular plot holes, of course, in the Boruto universe. Of course, there might be others and you guys can let me know in the comment section, we can discuss them. As I said, Naruto and Boruto doesn't possess that many plot holes, and a lot of people just misinterpret the story, and that's how you get plot holes. And that's funny because you guys might say I'm doing that in this video, but we'll see in the comment section, of course. With that said, drop a like if you like the video and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.